Thanks for watching Numbskull News. This is my Captain Marvel review / rant, and yes, spoilers, just in case any of you haven't seen the movie yet. But I probably watched this movie around week 3. I like to give it a little time. I don't like crowds. I was really surprised that I liked this movie as much as I did. I mean, after all the damn, non-spoiler reviews I watched before watching it, that's all I heard, is this movie was a disappointment. It was mediocre. And I guess because I went into it with low expectations, I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised how good it was. And before I get too much further, I just want you to know I'm going to put a link to a video. The video is called Charting with Dan. It's on a Screen Junkies News channel. Most of these people are liberals, by the way. And this guy, Dan Murrell, I believe is his name, he did not give Captain Marvel a very good review at all. Doesn't recommend it. However, he still created this video to debunk a lot of the business side, the negative videos about the business side of Captain Marvel. And he did a great job. And, this is something that he didn't cover, but, before I went to see the movie, and a week before it debuted, I saw a ton of videos about how this movie was tracking to only make $100 million opening weekend or less, and it was going to be this huge flop. And it made $153 million, and I think it's like the 7th overall top grossing MCU movie as far as opening weekend is concerned. It's bullshit like that he really tackles. And so I'm going to put that link in the description. You need to watch it. This is more of opinion-based. But like I said, I really like the movie. And I disagree with a lot of the disappointed reviews. There's a lot of people that say that Captain Marvel, the Carol Danvers character, is a boring character. There's not a lot of growth or a character arc throughout the movie. And they also say it feels like a Phase 1 movie. Well, number one, it's kind of a prequel to the entire MCU, so of course it feels like a Phase 1 movie. It takes place in the 90s. I thought that was a given, but I don't know. I guess people missed it. And as far as her personality goes, I mean, the same thing was said about Captain America after the first movie, the first Avenger. That, oh, he's stoic, he's boring. And that was one of the very, very few criticisms of Black Panther. But one of the few everyone agreed on was T'Challa, Black Panther, was stoic and boring. That's actually something that I didn't mind. You see, I love Tony Stark like everybody else does. I love Thor, I love Peter Parker, Ant-Man. I like the silly, more comic-based characters or comedic-based characters. But you have to have that yin to the yang. You need some serious people, right? Captain America's great at that. So is T'Challa. And that's how I took Captain Marvel, that she was a serious person and was going to be a little bit more stoic. It wasn't going to be all silly. I don't know. I don't have a problem with that. I like that. And I didn't find that to be some kind of feminist tenet that, oh, she can't show emotions because they always say women are so emotional. Bullshit. I mean, they gave you the reasons for it, right? I mean, in the whole training sequence with Jude Law, he's telling her over and over again, you got to put your emotions aside and focus your fighting ability and your power to defeat me. And in her previous life as Carol Danvers, the fighter pilot, I mean, she's training to be a pilot. And not like, American Airlines, a fighter pilot. All right? So she's supposed to, you can't have emotions when you're a fighter pilot. Those guys are stoic. Just by nature. All right? They can kill a whole hell of a lot of people with the bombs and rockets and guns they got. All right? So it's a very serious deal when they get behind, the controls of an F-22. Outside of that, there are some real bullshit videos out there by these so-called comic book purists. All right, and a lot of these guys I am subscribed to. I really enjoy their channels, but when it comes to Captain Marvel, they're all full of shit. Because they're all saying, well, Captain Marvel sucks. This movie is shit. to me, it's not the best, but you know, good God, I probably rate it somewhere between 10 and 13, depending on what day you catch me on. So it's not, you know, if it's a top 10, it barely squeezes in at number 10. But these so-called comic book purists, you know, they all have several bitches and gripes, right? Well, Mar-vel's supposed to be a guy, not a woman, you know, Annette Bening's character. And who gives a shit? I mean, okay, so they changed it. Well, Mar-vel has all this backstory and all that. Well, apparently, Marvel doesn't give a damn. It's an obscure comic. Most people don't know shit about it. So they're going to change it up and do something different. And they're going to focus on Captain Marvel because that's who they want to focus on. But they need someone who could stand alone. So they decided to go with Captain Marvel. And there's one fella on YouTube that just doesn't understand. You know, there wasn't all this, you know, it's not a legendary, iconic character. Well, fuck me. You know, Ant-Man isn't legendary. The Guardians of the Galaxy, who the hell were they? And there's people that try to make points like, oh, you know, well, they were important characters in the comic book world. To who? Like, you know, 0.0001% of the population, they were important? Look, the MCU changes shit up all the time. So don't be pissed that they decided, oh, well, you know, we're not going to go with Mar-vel and then go into Miss Marvel and then just like the comics and then go into Captain Marvel. No, we're just going to go with Captain Marvel and we're going to give you some highlights like Monica Rambeau being a little girl. You know, we're going to find a place for that character. You know, we're going to find a place for Mar-vel. We're going to give, you know, that a little kiss and change it to Annette Bening because they like to have these huge legendary characters or actors in these movies, like Annette Bening, or like Michael Douglas, or Robert Redford. That's what Marvel does. All right, they want to be seen as a serious product, so they get big time legendary serious actors to play crucial roles. And the big bitch and the big gripe they have are the Skrulls being good and the Kree being bad, right? The Skrulls are the good guys. You can't have the Skrulls being the good guys. They're space Nazis. It's not like they're going to do the same thing the comics did. Like I've been saying, Marvel likes to have not just straight up black and white villains. And we always bitch and moan about when there's just a black and white villain, just oh, here comes, you know, Malik or whatever the hell his name was from Thor 2, right? You know, it's not like Thanos, whatever the hell. It's not like Thanos where you can understand what he's doing and why he's doing it. You don't like the way he's going about it, but you understand where he's coming from. And you may even have a little sympathy for Thanos, especially when he has to kill his daughter, Gamora. They want more interesting villains. And so the Skrulls are going to be a big part of the MCU's future. So why have them all be just evil space Nazis? Some of them could be good Nazis. And by the way, you may not know a whole lot about history or these people who have talked about this shit. Oh, you know, they're supposed to be space Nazis. All Nazis are evil. Well, they apparently they never watched Schindler's List. Oskar Schindler was a Nazi, and he saved thousands of Jews from a very grisly fate. Look, the real reason that these comic book purists and a lot of these people who have been doing great videos about the MCU for a long time and giving an honest opinion about those movies, whether they like them or disappointed in them or whatever, you know, a lot of these guys, this is the first time they've called an MCU movie just dog shit and hated on it like this. And there's a reason for it. Only one. It's none of the bullshit they claim. It's because they can't stand Brie Larson. And in a way, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. She's been an asshole. She really has been. She's an entitled little shit. That's how she comes across to me anyway. Entitled and a little shit. But in Hollywood or the MCU, you're going to have to separate the actor from who they are behind the scenes. You know, either that or you go watch the Left Behind series and forget about the MCU. You know, watch the, God's Not Dead. It's got, what, 3 or 4? you just have to ignore the bullshit. All right, and Brie Larson throws out a lot of bullshit. She really does. She's not easy to like, but I'm not going to crap all over the MCU. I'm not going to crap all over directors who seem to me that they've done a competent job of making an entertaining movie. And I like the job Brie Larson did. You know, I don't care for her politics at all, and I especially don't like how she presents them as a whiny little asshole, but I'm not going to shit all over this movie because I don't like her. But I will say this, a lot of the critics and a lot of the people who just can't get over their own political BS, they can't get over Brie Larson and the crap that she said. These people aren't women haters. Every one of them have lauded and applauded Wonder Woman, saying that Wonder Woman did it right. You know, it wasn't just in your face. And by the way, I don't agree with that. I mean, to me, Wonder Woman was way more offensive with that bullshit. I mean, you got a whole island of Amazons that's pristine, everybody's disciplined, it's clean, it's peaceful and all this, and as soon as Wonder Woman gets out into the real world, you know, leaves that bubble, now it's the world of man, and now it's full of war and violence and pollution, and it just sucks, it's shit. Because that's how feminism, modern feminism anyway, is. Oh, if the women had control of everything, it would look like the island of the Amazons. It'd be beautiful and lush and everything would be perfect. If not for these suck-ass men, because that's what they drag us into. World war and pollution and bullshit, right? You know, the flashbacks to her trying to leap from one rope to another and all these guys down at the bottom, you know, daring her to or whatever. When she was driving the go-kart and the kid's like, oh, girls can't drive go-karts. So, she, you know, it's like, oh, she's being put down her whole life because she's a girl. No, to me, the message was, you know what? This is from a little girl all the way to a grown woman. She's trying to compete with the men. And if you notice, every single time she eats shit, she fails every time. Which is another criticism people have of the movie, that, oh, it's hard to root for somebody who can't be beaten, you know, never fails. Well, her whole life, she ate shit. She's crashed and burned. That little go-kart, she flipped right through a damn fence. But what I like is that at the end, it didn't show her getting up and beating the hell out of all the guys, outrunning the little boy in the go-kart, hitting the home run, making that rope jump, and this, you know, ah, fuck you guys, I made the rope jump, blah. No, she doesn't do that. All she does is stand up. So she failed, crashed and burned, and got back up. I think that's a great message for, you know, young girls or grown women. You know, competing with the guys is not easy. Being in a man's workspace, or what's a male-dominated workspace, is not easy for women. Especially on the blue-collar side. I come from a blue-collar family. My mother was a truck driver in the 70s. She didn't see another woman on the road for years. And every time she pulled into a truck stop or a warehouse or whatever to drop her load, these guys were like, oh my God, what the hell, a woman? Really? I mean, they were shocked. And after a period of time, she earned their respect. They're like, oh wow, man, she stuck it out. She can drive. She's good. And my mother took incredible pride in earning the respect of those guys that she worked with. My wife now, for 13 years, has worked in a male-dominated workspace. She too is a blue-collar woman. And she's 5 foot and drives this huge piece of machinery, loading and unloading planes. And she's a badass, all right? She's a badass at it. Now, I'm biased. I'm her husband. But I've heard from her bosses, they're like, man, she's the best we got out here. And my wife took incredible pride in being one of the best out there in this male-dominated space. All right, she's earned the respect of those males she works with. With my mom, yeah, she heard, you know, several guys, what the hell are you doing out here? This ain't for women. And my wife heard the same shit. All right, her first few days at the job, man, these guys were hating on her, weren't talking to her, treating her like shit. I wanted to go up to her work and beat some ass. But after a while, the guy saw that, hey, she can hold her own. She's not slowing anybody up. As a matter of fact, she's making us as a crew better. And she earned that respect. She had to put up with some bullshit. But that's reality of the situation. Sometimes through life, you know, being a woman, you got to put up with some bullshit. if you're going to work in that space. And I guarantee you, male nurses may have to hear some shit sometimes. Or a male stewardess. Guys working in what's normally a female-dominated workspace may have to put up with some shit. Like questions like, are you gay? It's unfair, but I'm sure these guys have to put up with some shit. And it's about overcoming it and doing a great job and taking pride in that and earning the respect of your peers. So to me, Captain Marvel was more realistic about their feminism, and I think more classical feminism than Wonder Woman was. To me, Wonder Woman was just a man-hating slap in the face with some of the bullshit. With Captain Marvel, it was relatable, it was realistic. But I'll just end off by saying that I would not categorize myself as a feminist, nor am I a woman hater. I know women sometimes realistically do go through some shit, you know, at work or wherever. And I know men go through shit. All right, now everyone's going to have a lot more sympathy for women because they're generally smaller, weaker, more susceptible to sexual assault and things like that. You know, I get that. Guys who don't get that are just dumbass retards. I don't know what to tell them. But having said that, if you can leave your biases outside of the theater, if you don't have the expectation that this thing's going to win an Oscar and you're expecting Captain Marvel to change the world, and have something a little more realistic in mind, like, hey, this is a prequel movie, takes place in the 90s, it's going to introduce an important character going forward in the MCU, and that's it, then you're going to have a good time with it. And for all the haters out there, you know, I hate to call you haters. I mean, I'm a bit of a hater myself. I mean, I don't give a shit. I'll hate on whatever I want to. But I just didn't find a reason to hate on this. And I was ready for it. Boy, I had a script ready to kill this movie, but I really enjoyed this movie. Anyway, that's all I got. To all you making bullshit, stupid-ass videos and having your biases all wrapped around it, knock it off. As Eddie Murphy once said, have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I'll be back with something else sometime. Bye.